Alrighty, today, as I mentioned, we have a lot of things coming. So first, before we go over our October overview, I have some products and things to show you all. So I'm going to start with some product announcements, and then I will dive into our October overview, which will be very similar how I did our September overview. If you didn't catch that one, I'll walk you through each week, some of the tips you'll need, just additional information to really make sure that you feel confident diving into your month. And then after that, I have 2 craft demonstrations. There are a few crafts in this October month that are tricky to just communicate through flat photos. So I did my best in the curriculum, but I do want to show you those in real time. So at the end, I'll be doing 2 craft demonstrations for the yarn pumpkin and some finger knitting for our lanterns. And then after all of that, I did get a request to talk about birthdays in the classroom or birthdays in a group, how you integrate birthdays within this Wondergarten rhythm. I do mention it in the beginning of the book, how to do a little story, but I don't really describe how to integrate it into your rhythm. So I'm going to talk about that at the very end. So a ton to cover. I'm going to do my best to not talk too fast, but also not keep you here all day. So very excited to get going. So without further ado, I am going to dive into our product announcements. We have a lot of things coming. We were so thrilled with the amazing response to our September silk that, yes, friends, we do have an October silk coming. So this beautiful October silk is going to be dropping October 1st on both sites, Wondergarten and Sarah Silks. We're so thrilled. It is gorgeous. Can you take a second to just look at how beautiful this is? So it's a little wrinkled now since it was in a basket, but October silk is coming October 1st, and then we will be dropping 1 silk a month for the rest of the year. So starting in October 15th, we will release the November silk, November 15th, the December silk, all the way through the year 1 of every month for Nathaniel's beautiful chalkboard. So we are so thrilled to really embark on this real collaboration with Sarah Silks. They have been amazing. We just adore everyone at Sarah Silks, and they're just the best. So yes, we're just getting started when it comes to silk. So you can expect this October silk to drop October 1st, and then every 15th of the month from there on out, a new one will be coming your way. So we are so thrilled for that. And along with that October 1st launch, we are also going to be launching a few other products. You may have heard us teasing out some things that we were working kind of towards a Black Friday launch, but we already have some fun things in the warehouse, and we realized that if we wait to do everything at Black Friday, we might not have time to restock if y'all clear us out. So October 1st, we have our October silk coming, but then we also have a few other little things. So yes, someone already saw this cute little pin. We have this adorable little Wondergarten pin that we will have, and here I have another one here to show you, so we can do a little top-down view here. So we have star pins coming, and we have our first round of stickers. Yay! So we have character stickers coming as well. We are super excited about these. So these are a paper sticker. This is our first round of stickers. So this will be the first of probably many more to come. These are not waterproof stickers for all of you water bottle folks. So these are more of a paper sticker for journals and books and things like that. So we will have these available October 1st along with a star sticker as well. So these will all be coming October 1st. Again, like I said, this is our first round of stickers. So we will also be doing another round of stickers for like a waterproof style of these stickers that will probably launch closer to Black Friday. But aren't they just so cute? I just love them. Also in our sticker batch, we have a window star window cling. So this is a transparent, let me show you here. This is a transparent window cling here, and it is super fun. So we are excited about this. So this is great for your car windows, windows of all types. We also might be doing another round of these a little bit bigger. So this is our first draft of this, which is super fun. So just fun things, guys. These have been so fun to make. So pins and stickers, our first round dropping October 1st. And we do hope to give you all community members some early access to that. So stay tuned for those details. That is not all. So those all will be available for purchase on October 1st. In addition to that, we have another thing that I don't have a picture of. We also have some tote bags of our characters, which are really, really fun. Those will also be dropping October 1st. But we will also be launching a pre-order October 1st. Again, we were planning to wait to launch these until they were in stock, but then we realized if we wait, y'all might clear our shelves. So we are going to launch a pre-order for these amazing finger puppets. Look at these guys. Oh. So these are just incredible little finger puppets. They are finger puppets, but they're also sturdy enough to stand up on their own here. So I am gonna just lay these out top down so you can see them all. They are so cute. So these will be launching for pre-order October 1st. We have our gnomes. I know, aren't they just so cute? We have Hamilton. You will actually get 2 Hamiltons. This is kind of early Hamilton for your first few stories when he's just discovering Wondergarten. And then of course, after the autumn feast when he gets his clothing. Look at this little sister flame, guys. So we have the gnomes and friends. We have Mr. Mole, oh my goodness. So we have, this will come in 2 sets. So we have our gnomes and friends set here. And of course we have our fairies of Wondergarten also as well. Look how beautiful these are. So these will all be arriving as a pre-order on October 1st. Look, a little tourmaline. So we have 2 sets of 8 available for you all. We're so excited about these. These are being made as we speak, but of course, as you can imagine, these take some time. So that's why we wanted to shift this to a pre-order so that if those pre-orders sell out, because it's a limited quantity, we would have time to restock before the holidays. We will have pricing details for you very soon. Keep an eye out for newsletters and launching as well. We are dialing those in as we get final quotes from our makers. So we are so excited about these. Of course, we also still will always adore all of your handmade puppets, but we know some of you are going to be excited to get these as well. So they're just so cute. Yay. Okay, so really fun response to see them. They're just so sweet. And honestly, they feel really sturdy. They are just, we're so thrilled with them. They're a nice sturdy little puppet. So pre-orders for felted puppets are launching on October 1st, as well as all of those other merch items in stock. And guys, that's not even all. So that is our October 1st launch. We have more things in the works that I still want to preview with you all as well. We have the question, do they fit on peg people? Yes, you can, if you want, stick these on a little peg person if you would like, though they do stand very well on their own. So you might not need a peg, but we did make them so they can fit a finger or a peg or just stand. They will be sold in 2 sets. 1 set of fairies, 1 set of gnomes and friends. All right, so those will be, and more details, of course, will be coming very soon. But other things that I want you to know that we have in the works, because as I mentioned, that is not all in progress. Shooting more for a Black Friday timing launch. We do have Yoto cards in the works. We just got approved for our Songs of Autumn, Songs of Winter, and Songs of Spring Yoto cards. These are our first Yoto cards. The process has been surprising as far as length, cost, and time, but we are really excited to finally get those rolling. We will plan on doing a daily songs card, and we are going to start work on a September audiobook card and doing a monthly audiobook card as well. But for now, we have the first 3 seasonal albums in the works with Yoto, and those will be available on our store and the Yoto store, which is going to be super exciting. So Yotos are in the works. And CDs will also be on the works. So we also have CDs in production for the 3 seasonal albums and already the daily songs. So physical music is coming. We also have paperback storybooks in the works. I think later today I'll be getting our first sample of our Stories of Autumn storybooks. So those are coming as well. These will be non-illustrated, just little storybooks, probably like $10 each, just easy black and white, so you can just have the stories on their own to either read along or read aloud with the audiobooks. So that's going to be really fun and just easy for you to have. access to those. We also have more really fun merch coming closer to the end of the season that we'll be really excited. We have another puppet collab, a wooden puppet collab coming soon too. So those characters, we'll have felted and we'll have a wooden option with another collaboration with another brand coming soon too. So all of that will be coming closer to the end of November. So a little bit of a tiered release here, but just lots of fun things. So our first stickers and pins and totes and puppet pre-orders October 1st, along with our silk. Those silks will then be releasing, and then towards the end of November, we'll get a ton of other new wonderful things in the works. So yay, it has honestly been so fun to make all of these things come to life. So thank you all for your excitement. We're really excited to get these things to you because it's just fun, right? It's just so fun. So pricing is all to come soon. We're still finalizing all of these things with production costs and all of that. So keep an eye out. Keep an eye out for newsletters. For Yoto cards, right now, they will only be on the US Yoto site or our site. So if you are international or Canadian, it'll probably be easier to buy them from us. They're not super big, so we can still ship them hopefully for a decent, not too high of a shipping cost. Distributing to all the different territories is a lot. It's a lot, guys. Yoto was an interesting journey to get them distributed at all. So we hope over time, if they do really well, to do other batches that could be distributed through the other territories. But right now, we're going to just start with US Yoto store and our own store. But really excited to get you physical media CDs and puppets and stickers and all of those things. So yay! Whew, we're excited. Lots of things. All right. So lots of excitement. Thank you. Yay, I'm so excited that you guys are excited. All right, so now, without further ado, who's ready for October? Okay, so we're gonna get into our October overview now. This is what you're all here for, but thank you for entertaining me while I got to give you some sneak preview. So October, I'm actually gonna open up to the back of my book here to show you our October chalkboard. Don't forget that this one is here. September's in the front, October's in the back, and November was on your box. So you get all three of autumn. Our October chalkboard, I just want to give you a little chalkboard tour here for which stories are represented on this chalkboard. So we have 3 out of the 4 stories represented on this chalkboard here. The first story of the month, the Spice Week, is not represented because that is more of an indoor story. So of course, when Nathaniel creates these, he's has these beautifully intertwined scenes, and he illustrates as much as he can for the month. But Spice Week is not exactly represented, but we have the other 3 stories beautifully represented we have Brother Wind here for Wind Week, Blowing for Pumpkin Week. We have our beautiful pumpkin house. And for Lantern Week, of course, we have our Lantern Walk and our Chariot in the Sky. This whole concept of the Chariot in the Sky is so beautiful, and that song is just stunning. I will tell you a little bit more about the concept and what that even is, because I'm sure you're like, what is this chariot thing? But it's gorgeous, and it's really so much deeper than you probably even realize. So we have Brother Wind, we have Pumpkin Week, we have Lantern Week with Grandfather Moon and the Chariot in the Sky happening all here in this stunning scene. Really, really beautiful. So back to our October. Let's get into it, all right? So first of all, let's go over our October overview. We have Spice Week, Wind Week, Pumpkin Week, and Lantern Week. Of course, October is our 5-week month. I'm not gonna dive in too much into how you can align those because I talked about that at length in our autumn planning. So if you're curious about how you want to align each week in the 5 weeks and where should I put this, if you wanna take a break or whatever, watch the autumn planning session. That'll give you everything you need as far as how you want to plan. I know a lot of you are also just getting started in October, so welcome. If you are joining us a little bit late, I'm so excited for you to do so. The autumn planning session will also be very easy for you to just plan and get a little bit of a sense of how you can get started with confidence as well. All right, so one, of course, unfortunate update that I will reiterate for our October supplies. Our October supply list has a few errors. I am so sorry. Finding any errors in this book is honestly the most devastating thing. We edited this book so much, so it's always just, we're human, right? Okay. Everyone should have already gotten emailed an updated supply list for October, but I will line this out for you. This says Autumn Festival. This should say the Walk. This is Lantern Week, right? So all of these supplies are for the Lantern Week, not the Autumn Festival. And then a few things. This red bean paste I know has already caused a lot of confusion for you all in the chat. What is this for? Yes, that is not necessary. In our first edition, we had our mooncake recipe be a traditional mooncake recipe for the Lantern Walk, which included red bean paste, but a lot of feedback we got. Most kids didn't really even like it. So instead, we took the red bean paste out, replaced it with a delicious pumpkin spice mooncake. If you want to make a traditional mooncake, you can absolutely still use that red bean paste if that's something easy to find, but that is not necessary. So be sure to look at the updated October supply list. That won't be there. And then for Pumpkin Week, we missed a few things for our yarn sock pumpkin, so the yarn and the sock for that. So take a look in your email. You should have received that updated information. So again, I apologize, but just a few little things so that you can plan accordingly. Another thing to note for your supplies, spices. This is like the beginning of spice season, right? So we have a lot of whole spices, especially for Spice Week, but that is not the only time in the rest of the year that you'll be using whole spices and ground spices. So just so you know, we'll be using whole spices for some activities in Spice Week in October, but then in December, we'll be using whole spices again for a simmer pot bag, and that simmer pot bag is a perfect way to kind of use up any leftover spices you might have left over. So while you're purchasing how many whole spices to get, keep that in mind that any leftovers you can use again in December. And as far as ground spices for baking, be sure you're gonna want lots of cinnamon, clove, all of that good stuff for a lot of recipes. We have spice cake, we have pumpkin pie, we have gingerbread cakes in December, so lots and lots of yummy things coming up. So just a note on spices that you can happily stock your pantries because you'll be using them a lot. So just that note, be sure to check your email for the updated supply list for October for a few of those little changes. All right, then we get right into Spice Week. I'm gonna take a little sip and then we'll dive in. Some very sweet comments here. Thank you, guys. All right, so Spice Week. In our curriculum, you'll see kind of these ebbs and flows of course, we just left off with the Autumn Festival, which has a lot of things. And then Spice Week is going to feel a little calmer, a little cozier. All right, we have some repeating activities, some cinnamon clove Play-Doh, and a lot of just kind of sensory lovely activities. Nothing crazy this week, and that's intentional because of course the week before, which is this week, usually this week for the Autumn Festival, happy autumn by the way, lots of extra things happening for the Autumn Festival. So for Spice Week, our story this week is The Tea Party. This is a very sweet story. This is a manners story. So you'll get to see Hamilton kind of beginning to learn the customs and manners of the gnomes in Wondergarten. This story does start with a farewell to the fairies, which is a little sad, I know, but those all of those little feelings are very validated in the story because the fairies come and go with the seasons. So even though we just got a taste of them in the Autumn Festival, we will be saying goodbye to them, and Hamilton is like, what, we just met them? Yes, they'll come back in spring, and it is very, very exciting when they return. So we bid farewell to the fairies. They come and go like flowers, and then we are invited to the tea party. It is a very cozy story, which you'll be able to hear this Thursday. Let's give a little pause. And who is loving these audiobooks, by the way? Really exciting. Loving these audiobooks. Yes, the audiobooks are so much fun. Absolutely loving the audiobooks. Yay, I'm glad you guys are loving them. And Nathaniel is also loving creating these. It is really, really, really fun. They make me tear up. They make me tear up too. They are wonderful. Quick little technical pause. Josiah, this is about to die. So I might need you to get Nathaniel to get me another laptop. Okay, quick technical reassess. This computer is about to die, so I want to make sure I still have access to my chat So yes, those will be releasing every Thursday. I'm excited for you to hear the Tea Party story. It is so cozy. Otherwise, so we have our Tea Party story, you'll get to hear that. For our songs this week, we typically have a song that works best for circle and a song that works best for more like your table time, right? So our circle time our circle time song this week, I would suggest you focus on the flavor of spice for your circle. And this is a great rhythmical song. So I'm going to do a little demonstration of how you might do this in your circle time, because you're going to pretend to be grinding these spices and you'll have this awesome little rhythmical rhyme. Cinnamon, clove, and cardamom, nutmeg and star anise. Break them and grate them, grind them to dust, perfect for cake and tea. Just try it and then you'll see how wonderful it will be. And that's all you need to do for circle time. That's my suggestion. Keep it at that first verse of one song for your circle. It is a really great rhythmical thing. You're kind of pretending to be, grinding that spice, and it's a really wonderful rhythmical pattern for children to begin to kind of wrap their heads around. You have the alternating 4, 3, 4, 3, 3. So you have a 4 and a 3 that repeats and a 3 that repeats, and it's just good getting that rhythm into their bodies for them to really hear how those rhythms tie into the song. So that's what I would suggest for your someone just talked about corn week in the chat, for your spice week circle. And then of course, a cup of tea is just a beautiful, beautiful song to sing as you're pouring tea and sharing tea. It is a tea week as well. So we have the tea party, you have spices, you have tea, you have manners, a lot of really, really lovely things this week. So for our activities, we start with our cinnamon clove Play-Doh. Of course, that's already a nice and spiced recipe. If you have some left over, you can reuse that. And then our Living Arts Day, our main life skill is grinding spices. So there's a few ways you can do this. This is where you'll want your cinnamon, your clove, your cardamom, your nutmeg, and a mortar and pestle and a grinder. And this is really just a complete discovery activity. It's sensory in every way. They're grinding, they're pounding. It's really a lot of fun to smell all the different spices, to start to see which ones they like and if they can begin to identify which is which. And then for them to be able to experience how they can grate and grind each individual spice. Cinnamon you'll use on the grater, nutmeg you'll use on the grater, clove and cardamom you'll use in the mortar and pestle. And I have a few tips on there about how to kind of go about each one, because with cardamom, if you just like bang it, they'll fly out. So you want to use a nice grinding motion. All right, are we ready for a laptop switch? Okay, here we go. Bloop. Thank you. All righty. Thank you, friends, for keeping up with us today. All righty. Okay, we have a new chat box here. Yes, I think I heard this last time. Someone is allergic to cinnamon. I remember you from last week. What is a good alternative? Should I use ginger? Anyone in the chat? I would replace with cardamom and nutmeg. Ginger is a spicier spice, so a lot of times, like in a recipe, it would be like paired with cinnamon. So if you are allergic to cinnamon, which I'm so sorry, I would replace with nutmeg and cardamom, would be my suggestion. And of course, you can play around with what tastes good to you. So obviously omit the cinnamon grinding for this, and you can focus on the star anise and the nutmeg and the cloves and the cardamom. There are still lots of lovely spices that you can experience. Our morning activity for day 2 is our spice garlands. This is a really fun one, and this is one that is, again, kind of helping you set up the child for success. So I guide you through how to kind of pre-tie these little loops. And then this is a great pattern activity. So they can choose a pattern of their star anise and their cinnamon. And then essentially what a child can do, even the youngest child, can take one of these little spices, put them in that hole, and then just pull and tighten, and then they can tighten them right into this really sweet little spice garland. So for younger ones, they're probably not going to be able to tie that knot. For older ones, you could encourage them to try to do this whole thing themselves. But for our little ones, pre-tying these open loops is a great way for them to be able to still practice some fine motor skills by putting those little spices in those little hoops and then tightening those up. The one little tip there is you're going to want to make sure they hold right next to those little loops so they don't tighten the whole thing. But they're lovely, they're aromatic, you can hang them anywhere. They are really, really great. All right, then our baking day is our spice cake. The spice cake is Thumbkin Spice Cake, which is featured in our story, and what Hamilton is so eager to eat that he finally gets a bite of at the end. It is a really, really yummy recipe. Of course, I have our full portions and our child portions. You can decide if you want to make one big flat cake, or if you want to turn them. They also make great muffins if you want to do individual muffins, or you could reuse your apple cake mold, or you could put it in a bundt cake. There's a lot of different really great options for this cake. And of course your dietary swaps as well. Now our painting day is a nice rhythmical painting day. We have crayons and we have painting. It's always fun to kind of come back to these kind of simple activities, especially when the week before we had a festival and we're doing lots of things. So back to crayons. And then for our autumn watercolors, this is of course a painting day, and you can you can really kind of focus in on the colors. So you can offer red, yellow, and green, and they can kind of create this autumn watercolor where the greens and the reds will cancel each other out to create a brown. You'll have the oranges, you'll have the reds, and then it becomes this really lovely autumn watercolor. You can even guide them to paint kind of a tree with the brown trunk and all the leaves. So you get lovely, lovely, beautiful autumn watercolors. You can point out how they're still seeing green leaves, but they're starting to turn red and orange, and it just becomes really, really beautiful. And there we have Spice Week. It is a lovely, cozy week. Cozy up with your favorite cup of tea. You'll get to hear all of the gnomes' favorite types of tea, which I think is very, very sweet. So it's a really, really sweet, delicious, cozy week. Okay, Wind Week. Are we ready for Wind Week? This is a really, of course, I'm going to say every week is fun. They're all unique and they're all lovely. So Wind Week. Overview here, we have some really, really sweet things as well. Wind Week is also another very kind of calm, rhythmical week, and you'll see some repeated recipes and some just very easy things. So Spice Week and Wind Week are a really nice out breath. And then you'll see that Pumpkin Week and Lantern Week kind of gear up again with a lot more kind of seasonal themed things. So we kind of have this breathing built in within the curriculum itself. So you'll notice some familiar things in this week as well, and that is intentional. So Brother Wind, this story is a really, really great story of Petty Pom getting swept up in the wind. This one kind of reminds me of Pooh and the Blustery Day and Piglet getting swept up. So Petty Pom gets swept up and Hamilton rescues him and saves him from being swept up into the birch tree. And then there's a very tender moment of Thumbkin comforting Petty Pom with our Have Courage song, which that Have Courage song is just so sweet and such a good reminder for all of us these days, really. So Brother Wind, we have this lovely story of we're really beginning to feel the change of season now. Brother Wind is blowing in, the Autumn Princess is changing the colors of the leaves. We have his song, and Petty Pom gets swept up, and Hamilton hears him, dashes up the tree, brings him inside, and Thumbkin comforts him. And at the end of this story, we kind of get a little peek deeper into kind of the world of Wondergarten with our All the World You Know song. And this is Thumbkin kind of telling Hamilton a little bit more about their world in Wondergarten, and that Brother Wind and Sister Rain, they're all these personified characters, and they really become alive to them. So it is a really beautiful song there that we end that story with. So let me little sip here. Our songs this week are Brother Wind and Have Courage. So Brother Wind is going to be the song that I would suggest for your circle time, and I will give you a little demonstration. Are you ready for Brother Wind demonstration? Okay. Brother Wind is blowing in with gusts of twirling air. He's dancing with the rustling leaves and flowing through your hair. And that's what I would keep it at for circle. A really fun one. They can blow, get them blowing their winds. You can also take a silk and have them blow, twirling air, dancing through your hair. It is a really great one. So Brother Wind, I would say, is your circle time song this week. And then Have Courage is a lovely just song for the week to just comfort them, to sing around the table or at any time in your week, really. And then, of course, All the World You Know is just another just beautiful song kind of about the world of Wondergarten itself. So Lovely, lovely music there. Our morning activity in lieu of Play-Doh, we have salt dough. We have salt dough leaf pressing. So this is a precursor to our leaf mobile. So it's kind of a nice swap where we're used to doing Play-Doh, and then we just change this recipe slightly to a salt dough recipe. And then you're gonna roll these out and cut these and press in your autumn leaves here. To prepare for your leaf mobiles. And if you don't have autumn leaves, that's okay. You can really use any foliage. This could be a green leaf, this could be a flower, this can be really, really anything. And then our living arts lesson this day is towel folding. This is just, honestly, anytime I've done towel folding with our groups, I'm always so surprised at just how peaceful it is and how lovely. And you just let them and just guide them on, corner to corner, meet and greet, folding our towels so nice and neat, and just sing and fold. And it's lovely. See how they can stack them and just take the time to slow down. Anytime we've done this, it's just lovely. And you take something that's so mundane for us as moms and becomes a really sweet connection point for our children. So enjoy folding towels with your children. And then day 2, we will be doing our leaf mobile. So this is where we'll be assembling, brush those dried leaf medallions, I guess, with Mod Podge, and you can put them together on your stick to make this beautiful, beautiful leaf mobile. Our baking day is bread again. So again, this is an intentional, we've done this before, let's do this again. So same recipe, same Wondergarten wheat bread, same deal. You can prepare it the same way, and also gives you another chance if you want to make any changes to how you made your bread the first time, you can do that as well. So making bread, and then our painting day again. Just some crayons, and then a fun kind of themed paint. We're gonna do some watery blue paint with a straw. Let them blow like brother wind, blow their paint around, and it's a really fun one, getting their little breath going. All right, any questions on our first 2 weeks so far before I head into Pumpkin Week? Pumpkin Week is a blast. So any questions on Spice Week or Wind Week while I take a sip of water? Nope, a few of you excited to have a second try at your bread. All right, Pumpkin Week. This is such a fun week, okay? This is where we get to be introduced to Mr. Morrison Mole, and this story is honestly hilarious. It is such a fun story. It's such a fun week. It's honestly one of our favorite weeks of the year because the pumpkin house activity is just so charming. It is lovely, and this is where we feature our little yarn pumpkin craft that I will show you in detail at the end of the week. But the pumpkin house, this is a hilarious story of Rudabug thinking his house got eaten by a big worm and wakes up Thumpkin in the middle of the night. And then they eventually find Mr. Morrison Mole eating the insides of Rudabug's dear pumpkin. But he's just this funny character that they meet and become friends with, and then they embrace it, and then the pumpkin becomes Rudabug's new living room. Sister Flame lights it up, and they eat pumpkin seeds and are cozy in their little pumpkin house, and it is so, so fun. So it is a really, really sweet story. It's a hilarious story. Morrison is just hilarious, and it's a fun one. It's fun. So Carve a Pumpkin and Mr. Morrison Mole are our songs this week. Mr. Morrison Mole is probably what I would suggest. Oops, sorry, went way too into frame there. For our circle time. So Mr. Morrison Mole is going to be your circle time song. Carve a Pumpkin, of course, is your table song while you carve a pumpkin. So I would recommend this is for playing and singing along to during your activity, and Mr. Mole is your song for circle time. So I'm going to do a little demonstration for Mr. Mole song. This one, it tends to be a favorite of all the songs, beautiful songs Nathaniel has written. Our 3-year-old, this is her favorite. She loves Mr. Mole. Okay, so Mr. Morrison Mole. He digs under the ground, tunnels all around, eating grubs and making holes. It's Mr. Morrison Mole. And you can kind of have the kids pop out of a hole there. It's fun. They love it. We've also done this where we cover one of our friends with a silk, and we sing the song, and then when it's time for when we say it's Mr. Morrison Mole, they pop out like Mr. Mole. It's really fun. So really fun one with Mr. Mole there. A few little fun hand motions. And then of course, carve a pumpkin for your activity. Pumpkin Play-Doh, similar to our cinnamon clove Play-Doh, but you're going to be adding some pumpkin puree. The recipe is slightly different to balance out the liquid there. With this one, if it's still wet or sticky, just add more flour until you get the right consistency. Depending on which brand of pumpkin puree you choose, the moisture content will vary greatly. So big tip, just if it's too wet or too sticky, add more flour. Just continue kneading it in until it becomes the right consistency. I'm almost certain that I will get still questions of, it's too sticky, Miss Lisa. But pumpkin puree varies greatly. So follow this recipe as best you can, but of course, look at what's in front of you. If it's too sticky, add more flour and knead it in until it's a nice texture. All right. Then you have a gluten-free option, of course. And then scooping pumpkins. This is a really fun one. So before pumpkin week, the days before you begin your pumpkin week, a really great time to do a pumpkin patch field trip because you'll want your pumpkins ready. So our day one, our Living Arts Day, our life skill, you'll want to have the tops of these pumpkins already topped, and then let your children scoop out the guts of these pumpkins. Some kids love this, some kids hate it, but it's a really great sensory activity for them to scoop, get those guts out, get those seeds out, and it's just part of childhood. It's so good. So we're scooping pumpkins this day, and then we'll be turning them into our pumpkin houses the next day. So after you scoop that evening or the day before your next lesson, it'll be up to you, the adult, to kind of carve the little windows and a door so that they're ready to decorate. So that is one step that you'll do on your own, kind of between. But so have the top ready for them to scoop, and then have the windows and doors ready before they decorate the next day. Then day two are yarn sock pumpkins. These are so sweet, but these are kind of a unique pumpkin, and that's why I want to do a full tutorial for you, because once you get it, they're great, but if you don't really, they have tripped some people up, but I do have some, so I'll do a full tutorial of this afterwards, but I do also have a tip. If you have littler ones, this one is a slightly more advanced handwork skill, and it's a precursor to finger knitting, and there's just some good fine motor developments there. But if they're not ready for that, you can also swap this with an orange version of your yarn apple. So if you'd rather just do that yarn apple activity again with orange yarn, you can create a yarn pumpkin in the same exact way. So if they liked that, if they were starting to get that, you can do that again as another opportunity to build on that skill if you'd rather do that versus introducing some new skills. So just a note there that is an easy swap. You can use the same materials, but if you can choose which one you'd like to do, because this yarn pumpkin is definitely one of those connection crafts. This is not a child independent craft, and it's not intended to be so. This is one that you will be doing with your children, and will offer you as the adult some great handwork, because that's super valuable too for us as adults to have the time to be working with our hands. So this might be something that you're finishing as your child is playing, so they're going to be seeing you working with your hands, and it's a really, really lovely thing. So approach this yarn sock pumpkin that way, that this is a together craft, not an independent craft, and it's something that you will work on together, and it can be really, really lovely if your child is ready for it. Or you can also just enjoy making this on your own as an adult if you want to, because it's a sweet little autumn decoration. So with all of those things, kind of feel what feels best for you. If you want to just do the kind of apple style, just round and round, if your child is ready to really join you, if you'd rather them just watch you create something with your hands, you can do that as well. And then, of course, at the end of this, stay tuned for the full instructions. I did my best here with these photos. So there are instructions here, but again, it's one that can kind of feel, it'll help to see the video. So I'll do that at the end. And then pumpkin muffins is our baking day this week. This is my absolute favorite pumpkin recipe. This can be pumpkin muffins or pumpkin bread. I grew up eating this as pumpkin bread. It was my favorite recipe, but for kids it's easy as a muffin. So if you want to do it in a loaf, it'll take more like 40, 50, 60 minutes to bake. So just note that if you want to do it as a loaf as pumpkin bread, you can. It'll just bake a lot longer. But for a muffin, 15 to 20 minutes. You have your 2 portions here. It is scrumptious. You also have 2 options for using canned pumpkin, or if you want to use fresh pumpkin, you can actually bake half a pumpkin ahead of time and have them scoop the pumpkin, have them mash the pumpkin so that they're really, again, seeing whole to recipe. So just like in their apples, they saw a whole apple go to applesauce, they can see a whole pumpkin get baked into this muffin. So I would really recommend, it's a really great experience for them to see that pumpkin, scoop it, mash it. Your texture and taste profile might be slightly different, but it works really well with either canned pumpkin or fresh pumpkin. So tips are there for either of those. Our morning activity for day 3 is just beeswax crayons. If you would like to suggest some pumpkin themed crayons drawing, you can. But then of course our painting day is the most fun. Our pumpkin houses. These are just absolutely so much fun. So for this, get forage to your desire. Get flowers and leaves and all of these lovely things. We've always used Aquaphor, which I know sounds really funny, just the actual ointment Aquaphor, but it works so well for sticking leaves onto pumpkins. You can also use like beeswax polish if you'd like something a little more natural. It doesn't stick quite as well, but that's what we've all, just thick things that you can just kind of squeeze those leaves into. It's a great temporary adhesive. So let them just create. These are always so beautiful and so much fun with all the foliage, and they just really, their creativity can just really shine. It is really, really lovely. So enjoy those, and we will head on to Lantern Week. Alrighty. I think we're doing okay on time. I know our craft tutorials will definitely take us over an hour, but thank you for hanging in there. Any questions on Pumpkin Week before I head on? I see some chat that I haven't really been able to catch up on. Scooped pumpkins, great. Okay, no questions. I will head on to Lantern Week. Now, Lantern Week is a special week, you guys. There is a lot of different themes and threads that you can pull on here, and I'm gonna try my best to kind of give you a full scope of all of the things, because I know one thing I adore about homeschool mamas is that if I give you a prompt, you guys just really take it and make it so immersive for your child. I just love seeing on Instagram all the additional things that you add onto this curriculum. It is so fun. So I know a lot of you will really love this week with additional unit studies or books, or there's just a lot of things. And also with the 5-week month, you could almost even pull this out to 2 weeks if you want to focus on different aspects of the storyline and the songs, because there are the most epic, incredible songs that Nathaniel has written this week. And if you want to pull them out to really honor that, you could totally do that. So it is a special week. And of course, some of you also might be choosing to save this week for mid-November for Martinmas, because of course the tradition of the Lantern Walk comes from Martinmas, which is November 11th. Again, I talk about that in our autumn planning. We have enjoyed aligning this with kind of around Halloween to give some alternative celebrations around that time, or additional things for walking out in the night. So we like having that around Halloween for us, but I know some people might want this for actual Martinmas. So you can do either. Quick chat question, what color should our star be turning to? So this week we are turning our star to orange. So it is now orange for our star. Details of that are in the Autumn Festival week. Back to Lantern Week. So Lantern Week is also a star turning week. So Lantern Week is when you turn your star to red. So this is the mid-autumn kind of seasonal celebration, which is also why we wanted to put this right here, because that November 1st is that mid-autumn time. So Lantern Week is a star turning week, and it is just kind of a big reverent celebration. We have our mid-autumn star turning song. I'll sing this for you. This goes to the theme of our Seasons Come, Seasons Go, but it's kind of this reverent, beautiful version of it. So I always sing this while I'm up at the window turning my star. Seasons come and seasons go, with our star we turn to show. Autumn now is halfway through, winter's on its way to you. Turn your star. And I always tell my kids that red season is such an exciting season. We have Thanksgiving, we have Christmas. It's like the season of holidays, so they can see, oh, it's red season, it's gonna be busy, it's gonna be fun. So there's your autumn star turning song. You can turn your star that week of October. So Lantern Week, we have a lot of great things happening, these beautiful lanterns, but I wanna first start in our story. So our Lantern Walk story has a lot of beautiful things. It is the Lantern Walk, and of course this is Hamilton's first Lantern Walk, and so they're preparing for the Lantern Walk, and they go out, it's a clear night, and they go out to go stargazing. And so they sing, so at first the clouds are covering, and they sing to Grandfather Moon, and Grandfather Moon's song just gives me chills. It is so amazing. And then of course, Brother Wind comes and opens up the curtains, and they see all of the stars in the night sky. And then we have them gazing upon the chariot in the sky, okay? So what even is this? So the chariot in the sky is the Big Dipper. Now, when we were writing this in, Nathaniel didn't love the kind of original Greek mythology of the Big Dipper, because within our little world of Wondergarten, there wouldn't have been Greek mythology, right? So he kind of started to think, okay, outside of our world, and you know, the story of Ursa Major and Ursa Minor is this kind of weird story about bears. You know, it's like, what would have been, you know, if the gnomes would have been looking up at these constellations, what would be their story of what they see? So he kind of took it upon himself to create this new Wondergarten mythology for the constellations, and that's where we get this idea of the chariot in the sky. So for the gnomes in Wondergarten, the Big Dipper is the chariot in the sky, and the Big Dipper, of course, it rotates around the North Star through the year. And so the concept here is that each of the seasonal nobles, you know, you have the Autumn Princess, you have the Winter King, take turns guiding and riding the chariot for their quarter of the year, and they kind of turn the star, so to speak, in the sky. And there's actually way more to it. He could talk for hours about it. It goes really deep, you guys, into philosophy and everything. It's really, really beautiful. But you'll hear those themes in the star, that each of the nobles of the seasons like command the chariot for a quarter of the year, and it turns around the North Star, which for them is the great light. It's the brightest light in the sky. So that is a little bit of what that chariot is. The chariot in the sky song is stunning. So definitely listen to that, and that'll give you a little more context to what that even is. So you can actually look into the sky, and when you see the Big Dipper, you can see the chariot in the sky. And it is really, really lovely. So in our October board, you see the Autumn Princess in the chariot in the sky as they're on their lantern walk. So she is, riding the chariot in the sky on their lantern walk. So a lot of really cool kind of deeper meanings here. So again, we already have moon, we already have constellations, we have Lantern Walk and Martinmas. We also have a nod to Mid-Autumn, the Chinese Mid-Autumn Festival. That is why we have our mooncakes this week. So this is a nod. Those are not at the same time because the lunar calendar is different, but it is a Mid-Autumn festival. So we also wanted to give a nod to the traditional Chinese Mid-Autumn Festival, which is why we incorporate mooncakes this week. So again, a lot of threads. If you want to really pull a cultural study and really focus on the Chinese cultural Mid-Autumn Festival, you could go moon, you could go stars, you could go lantern and Martinmas. So just a ton of rich content here. Depending on what rings true to your family and what you want to focus on, you can do deeper dives this week or across 2 weeks if you'd like. The music this week is just outrageously amazing. So definitely listen and enjoy those songs, especially on the actual October album, fully produced. It's like otherworldly. So, so enjoy those. A lot of beautiful things this week. So for your circle time, take your pick. Take your pick of song. There's just so many you can really do. If you're planning to go on a lantern walk this week, I would say rehearse your lantern walk song and just practice that with the children and holding your lanterns high so that they can sing. With the lantern walk song, there is a great chorus that they can just learn. Gleam lanterns gleam, sing voices sing, and that repeats a few times. So if you just want to focus on those few words to just repeat at the time, our kids just belt that out. It's so fun. So that's one that you can focus in as far as really getting kids involved in the music. Otherwise, just a lot of beautiful, beautiful songs this week. So to our lessons this week, cinnamon clove Play-Doh, nice rhythmical repeat there. Then for our main lesson, day one, we're cutting kite paper. So this is a great fine motor practice for them to be cutting the kite paper that we will then use for our lanterns. So get them introduced with scissors and have them slice. You can also rip. So if they're not quite ready for scissors or having trouble, you can also have them just rip their paper into shreds, which is a great substitution for any littles who are struggling with scissors. Then our morning, day two, we will be finger knitting. I will be demonstrating this in just a little bit now. There's a way that I kind of have children help me do this. Again, finger knitting is one of those things, once you get it, you get it. But again, it's kind of tricky to do just with photos. So I wanted to make sure I give you a chance to really see that motion. So finger knitting in preparation for our lanterns. So you can do that. This again might be something you end up mostly doing on your own, and the children can just watch you working with your hands, which again I think is a valuable thing. Then our main lesson on baking day. So pause. There's a little shuffle in our week this week as far as where you'll see your lessons. And this is an intentional thing as far as getting ready for a lantern walk. So I'm going to explain this, and it's up to you if you want to shuffle your activities. So you'll see our baking day, we're doing our kind of more of a painting craft activity. We're doing our lanterns. And then on painting day, we're actually making our moon cakes. I've done this because if you are doing your lantern walk the evening of day 3, you'd want those things baked fresh, and it also gives your lanterns a day to dry. So I've intentionally shuffled those things, so you're kind of doing an art activity on baking day and a baking activity on painting day to lead up to your lantern walk festival. Now, if you're not doing a lantern walk that night, you could switch those back and just bake on baking day, paint on painting day, and then you can still have your lantern have time to dry before you go out. So do as you wish, but that's why this week is a little shuffled to lead up to your festival. So on baking day, we're making our lanterns. We're using Mod Podge, and you're letting your children decorate these lanterns with Mod Podge and then letting them dry. For day 3 morning, you'll be assembling them. So you'll tie your finger knitted, your finger knitted, what is that called? Strands to make your handle. I've been talking for an hour. Woo. Okay, your finger knitted strands to make your handles, and you'll tie those on. That is something that you can kind of have your children watch. They might be able to do it if they're older, but you'll be tying those on. And then for your main lesson, you'll be making our moon cakes. Now, again, you have options if you'd like to make a traditional moon cake. You can fill these with sweetened red bean paste, straight from the package from an Asian food store. But our recipe here is an autumn spiced moon cake with pumpkin puree. So the filling is a delicious autumn spice pumpkin puree, and they're really lovely. Jessica helped me develop this one so that, you know, I heard last year that it was a little frustrating to do all the effort to make something that the kids didn't really eat, which I totally hear. So a bit yummier take on a spiced moon cake, but of course if you want to honor that original recipe, you can use red bean paste. Totally up to you. The little puncher is really fun, so it's definitely a lot of different skills with this one, with the rolling, and so have fun with it. Enjoy the process, see how they turn out, and they can be fun. They can be a little tricky, but just it's an adventure, right? So some tips here on adaptations and all of that. All right, so then hosting a lantern walk, I have a little tip here. If you want to host a lantern walk, I would highly recommend it, even just with your family or a few friends. It can be beautiful to go out in the night with your lanterns and walk and sing, and it's lovely. And there we have it. That is October. All right, I'm going to take a sip of water, and I'm going to allow any last questions on the October curriculum itself before I gear up for our craft tutorials. If you need to head out, I know it's already been an hour, so feel free. We will be posting the clip clips of the craft tutorials separately, so if you'd rather just watch those on their own, you can, but if you'd like to stay and hang out and watch live, you of course can. So I'm gonna take a sip of water, I'm gonna open up the chat box, any questions or clarifications specifically on our October curriculum before I head to crafts. I do see if there's a question for if there's any alternative for the kite paper. You can use tissue paper if you'd like, just colored tissue paper. It will be a little harder to, it just gets a little stickier with the Mod Podge, but you can also use that. Yes, all right. I already clarified the question of the swip swap. All right, so I don't see any questions. So I am going to get started on our first, I'm gonna actually put this down here. On our first tutorial here for our yarn pumpkins, these sweet little pumpkins. Let me clear some space. Little pause. Okay, so, oh, and autumn leaves. Yes, you can use leaves on the lanterns. I've seen people do that. It's beautiful. So if you actually want to use foliage, autumn leaves for your lanterns, that is also a great swap for lanterns. All right, so I'm going to show you how to make these beautiful little sweet yarn pumpkins. I think they are adorable. As I mentioned, there's a few kind of specific motions that you're practicing here, and this is actually a precursor to finger knitting, which if you're following the curriculum, you'll do the following week. So this is a really great one. Again, I want to remind you that this is an activity that is intended to be a connecting activity between you and your child. So this is not an activity that you're just going to say, okay, children, make this pumpkin. This is something you're doing together, side by side. You're doing part, they're doing part. You're creating something together. So I'm going to show you how to do this little yarn pumpkin. So you have your nice thick yarn, you have your wool here, and you have a sock and your little stems here, all right? So this first part is a really fun part for your children to do because they could just get to stuff this sock with wool, right? So we're going to take this wool, and you can kind of do it in sections, and you can, if you want, kind of put this down, and then they can stuff their wool into the sock, and you can just stuff. So this part is especially helpful with a child because you can hold this open while they stuff. So on your own, you can kind of just shove it through and get it all the way down. Of course, I'm going to have fluff on my jewelry. So get it all the way down and kind of arrange it here. So this part is a part where little arms and hands will come in handy actually to stuff your pumpkin, all right? So you're gonna get it about like this, all right? So we wanna make sure we have our fluff enough to come into our little donut, all right? So kind of just arrange it like that, all right? Then we're going to kind of envelop it on top of itself. So this is another fun part that you can kind of have them shove. So see how I'm taking the sock and just putting it around itself. And then you're gonna continue to kind of just put this together so you create this donut, all right? So it takes a little finagling, but you're gonna create this little donut. This might work better with a little bit longer of a tube here. Okay, so we have our little donut here, right? Okay, I'm gonna try to secure this a little bit more. This is what you get for watching a live tutorial. All right, there we go. Okay, tube socks. This actually doesn't even have to be an orange tube sock if you cover it all the way. This is just like a sock. A calf length sock is great. This can really be any calf length sock. All right, so you have your little donut here, all right? So you have your little donut, and then now we're going to find our yarn. So this you're going to come through, and you're just going to secure your yarn right on here, just with just a normal little knot, okay? Nothing fancy, just a double knot, okay? And then once you tie this in, we can snip this off, and then we're going to hide this just in the middle. So the middle of this, we're going to be hiding all of our little seams or anything we do here, okay? So here is where we start our pattern, okay? We are going to take our yarn and pull it up to create this loop, all right? So you're just picking it up and creating a loop. Now this whole loop is going to dive into the hole of our pumpkin, okay? So take that loop and shove it in. Then on the bottom, you'll see our little loop. Pull that up, okay? We're gonna pull that up until you're right here at the top. Now this is the motion that begins to be a precursor for finger knitting, and this is the motion that our children can now join in. They're gonna have two little hungry fingers, and they're gonna go through the pond to catch a fish. And they're going to pull up that fish, all right? And so now I have a new loop, just like I did before, all right? Then this is gonna dive down, all the way down. Shove, shove, shove. Find it, pull it up, and ready for hungry fingers again? Hungry fingers through our pond to catch our fish. Okay, so we have our feeder yarn. You're bringing your fingers through this loop, yum, 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 to catch your little fish. And then pull that up. So we're kind of creating this notch that's going to be hidden right in here, and pull up your loop. All right, is that making sense? Then we're just going to repeat. So shove that down, dive it down, pull it up, and pinch and pull. So you see how that works? And then you're beginning to coat your sock with your kind of doubled yarn. All right? So not too tricky once you get the hang of it. I think the kids really enjoy this part. Grab your little fish, pull up your loop, all right? Then shove, and this is another great part. Can you find that little one? And then they can come and pull it up, okay? So this is a great kind of passing off activity. Pull it around, yoop. So not too crazy, but yes, makes much more sense seeing it. In pictures, it is just a tricky one, but really it is pretty simple. You have your loop, it comes down, pull it around, and munch on your feeder thread. So very similar to finger knitting, it's basically you're finger knitting around the pumpkin. So I hope that helps, and I'm not gonna go sit here and do the whole thing. I'm gonna let you know how to finish this off. So once you're done, you can snip. I'm just gonna go ahead and show you how I would finish this off. You would snip and then just pull this through to kind of create your knot, and so you have this little loop, and then I'm gonna have this go around again. And then you can kind of just tuck this through and just create a knot that you would just like hide. So just tie up a little knot that you would just hide in the middle of your pumpkin, just like that, and trim that off, and there you go, right? Now our stem, you have your 3 little pipe cleaners here. This is a great part for your children to start. We're just gonna twist these in opposite directions, okay? Twist, twist, twist. And then once these are twisted, you fold it in half, okay? And then you twist it again. So you're creating this twisty pumpkin stem. And if you want, you can curl it, make it fun. And then this part, you can kind of just wrap around itself at the bottom. And this just shoves right in. So I'll show you on this one how you can kind of see how I did this. And it just shoves right in. And the little things of the pipe cleaner gonna just get caught on it just enough to kind of keep it in there from falling out, right? So if you want, you can hot glue it, but this just shoves in there and stays. So there is your little yarn pumpkin. I hope that helped. Again, it looks kind of tricky, but once you get it, it is not too tricky, and I think they're adorable. Again, if you want to replace this with just your simple kind of pumpkin style of your yarn apple, just the round and round, you can, but otherwise, that is your yarn pumpkin. A few questions. There are tube socks. Yes, thank you, Rachel. There are tube socks on the Wondergarten website. Of course, if you are a subscriber, supply kit subscriber, you will get all of these in your supply kit. So yes, I think they're adorable. They're really fun. So there you have your little yarn pumpkins. And now that will lead us on right to our finger knitting for our lanterns, which is a similar thing here. So this is how it looks when you're done. So you have this nice braided cord that's nice and sturdy for them to hold for their lanterns. Okay, so you can have your yellow. And you can honestly also use orange. You can use whatever color. I just like kind of the glow of the yellow for our lanterns. So we're gonna do some finger knitting. So we're gonna start with a slip knot, and then you'll see a very, very similar pattern to our finger knitting than we just did. So first we have our yarn. Ignore that. We have our yarn here. So we're gonna create a slip knot. You can do this however you'd like, but you can also do it this way, okay? We have our fingers here. These are my log, okay? And we're going to find 2 frogs on a log that are going to play a little game of leapfrog, okay? So we have our yarn, and we have, okay, so yarn is in front here, right? We have 2 frogs on a log who wanted to play leapfrog. One frog hopped over, and the other said, "My turn," but hopped all the way into the pond. Splash. All right, then we have our slip knot. And this slips, so you can use this, and so you can make it bigger or smaller as you go. So I will do that again. So logs, we have 2 frogs on a log. I'll do that again. 2 frogs on a log who wanted to play leapfrog. One frog hopped over. The other said, "My turn," but hopped all the way into the pond. Splash. Okay, there we have our little slip knot. Now, same thing. We have a hungry bird who is going to dive into that pond and eat a fish. Okay. Now I do this little kind of, I used to crochet, so this is my little crochet yarn hold. You can just hold this however you like, and the kids, whatever you like. So I tend to like to just have this ready for them, and they can come with their hungry little fingers through the pond to eat their fish and pull it up. Now this first one can be tricky, so I like to do this myself, and then you're gonna kind of tighten this down. And then once you get it started, it kind of is easier to go along. So second one, again, pinch your feeder yarn and pull it up. Then you want to pull your feeder yarn down so this loop doesn't get too big, all right? So you have your little pond, a hungry, hungry bird, through the pond to catch the fish, and up it goes. Then tighten it down, okay? Pinch, yum, yum, got your fish. Small again, okay? Then once you get it, you can really start to get the hang of it, zoop, zoop, and then you can just go to town. So if you want to do this yourself, you can just go to town. If you want your kids to just kind of come this and just pull, and then you can tighten it down. Okay, ready? And then they would bring their little fingers in, get it, and just pull. That is really, really great for them. What age do typically kids pick up the finger knitting? I'd say 5, 6. I'd say 6 is a really great age for finger knitting. 4, I would say probably, you could certainly challenge them with it. 4, they can definitely pinch and pull. But it depends on the child. So then of course you're gonna want to make this as long as you want. Now, I'm not gonna sit here to do this whole thing, but I do wanna show you how to tie this on. So I'm gonna show you how to tie off your finger knitting, and then I'm gonna show you how to tie it on even though it's not fully done, all right? So to tie off your yarn, same thing. You just, when you're done, you snip and pull, and that just tightens, okay? So pretend this is all finger knitted, and I'm gonna show you how to attach this on here, okay? I take my lid off. This is your beautiful little lantern. And you're going to take this around and just tie a nice knot here. So tie a nice tight knot around the neck of your jar, okay? Now, this part, you can trim this. This is gonna come up and over to make our handle. So you come up and over and across the way, so right across, this yarn, and again, imagine this being fully finger knitted, is going to tuck underneath there, okay? So tuck that right underneath there, right across from where this is. Adjust for your desired length, and then just tie it up. Tie another sturdy knot. And there you will have a nice handle. And then sometimes I like to put the threads in here and kind of secure it down, and the lid helps it not come off, right? So there we have it. We have finger knitted, little handle, and of course once it's done, it'll look like this, which is nice and sturdy. All right. Okay. Good. I hope those are helpful. Once you get them, they're not too hard, but of course, getting them the first time takes a little while. So this fluffy yarn is available on the Wondergarten store. It is available in our October supply kit boxes. Any questions on these two crafts? And then I have one quick little topical discussion that I want to just touch on since it was per request while I still have you all. I know this is going a little long. I figured it would be at least an hour and a half. Yes, I have time to talk about birthdays, Brooke. That's exactly what I was planning on. I would love to touch on birthdays and how we integrate birthdays into our rhythm. So that is my last touch for today. We've done a lot, so thank you all for hanging with me. This has been fun and hopefully helpful for all of you. So birthdays. We always adore a birthday day. So I'm going to tell you about how we've done it in our class with our little group and kind of how we align it to the rhythm within our rhythm, all right? So on a birthday week, we integrate some preparations and then we build up to our birthday day. So we typically celebrate the child's birthday on day 3 of our time together that week. So wherever their birthday is, we do our celebration on day 3 because it gives us time to, as a class, prepare for that child. Because what we want to do, especially in a group, is we want to get all the children thinking about their friend, preparing the anticipation for the birthday celebration, and it makes it really special. So on a birthday week, I would actually replace our baking day recipe with a cupcake recipe. And I do have a cupcake recipe that I have used with child's portions and everything, so I think I will add that to our additional resources in our recipe support section, so you can have that recipe because it is a really lovely one. So on that baking day, we would make cupcakes. So we're already thinking ahead. Someone's birthday we're gonna celebrate tomorrow. So our baking day that week, we would be baking our birthday cupcakes. Then on day 3, we would have our birthday celebration. So of course, this means we would be foregoing some of the activities for that seasonal activity. So that's where anytime there's a break week, we would fill in some of those things as well. For our morning activity, of course, typically on a painting day, our morning activity is going to be crayons. So we take our drawing time and we make it about the birthday child. So before this day, I would take any leftover watercolor paintings I have, those beautiful wet on wet watercolor paintings of 1 or 2 colors, and I would cut those up into little card size with those little rounded corners about this size. And so I'd have a little stack of blank painted watercolor paper out on the table, and we would have our crayons. When the birthday child arrives, they would get their crown. You can either just use a silk crown or you can felt one your own. I've made felted birthday crowns for my own children, but for the classroom, I would always use a Sarah Silk's birthday crown and then tie their silk around their neck so they have their cape and crown so that they feel really special. And then that morning, we would spend time together making birthday cards for our friend. So all the children would be drawing little pictures and creating a little stack of birthday cards that then we would tuck away to save to get ready for them. Then when we come to circle time, we of course do a birthday circle. So I would still typically integrate some of our normal circle time activities for that week, but then we would have the birthday child sit in the middle and we would all join hands and sing happy birthday as we walk around them and sing, and it's just very special. You can either choose to sing the traditional happy birthday song or Nathaniel's. We've done both, honestly, because a lot of children are more familiar with the traditional birthday song, so it's fun to really get everyone singing along. But of course, Nathaniel's happy birthday song is so sweet and really gives us a chance to say we love you. So we'll hold hands, we'll sing a birthday song around the child as they sit and just soak it in. And then of course, everyone takes turns giving them big hugs. And then we'll come to the table. If I still want to do any themed lesson that day, I would, but sometimes I would just make it just birthday day. So we would have them sit down, and then we would have everyone gather the little cards, and then we would have them each say something special that they love about that birthday child, or a special memory they have, and they would each one by one go and take their little stack of birthday cards to their friend and give them a hug and tell them that they love them and we're so happy that they are here and we're so happy to have them as our friend. So we would go around and share our memories and share our birthday cards, and then it would be time for birthday story and then cupcakes. So I would bring out the birthday ring, and I did see some questions about how do you use this birthday ring. So for the birthday ring, we put as many candles, of course, as the child is turning. So if they're turning 5, we would have 5 candles, and then in the rest of the spaces, we would just use little decorations that make us think about them. So maybe their favorite little animals or colors, or it can just be general little decorations just to make it really fun and festive. So I'd place the birthday ring in front of them, and then I would tell their birthday story. Now I do have some tips on this in our curriculum, but a birthday story is really, really sweet. And you can introduce it however way you'd like, but the really special part is really honoring each year of the child's life. So of course, in a classroom setting, I would get in touch with their parents, like, okay, can you tell me a few fun details for each year of their life? So I would say, whoever the child is each year, they were born, and you can see in our curriculum kind of the introduction, this is an over the rainbow bridge story. And I typically say, many years ago, this child was not here on earth. They were up in the clouds dancing, and you can make it as much or as little as you want. Some people don't love the Rainbow Bridge story. I think it's charming. And then they slid over the Rainbow Bridge into Mommy's tummy, and on a warm, cozy autumn afternoon, they were born. And you can give a few little details of their birth if you'd like. And then when they were a baby, they learned to crawl. They had their first food, which was avocado. They went to a trip to see grandma, and then they turned 1 year old, and I would light the first candle. And then when they were 1 year old, they did this and this, and they learned to walk, and they learned to do this, and just pick really special parts of each year of their life. And then they turned 2 years old. So you just get to go around each year of their life, honoring the things they did that year, the milestones they met, and all of their cherished memories as they turn. And then of course, and then they turned 5, and then, or whatever they're turning, and then you can sing happy birthday again, and it's always really, really exciting. And then serve the birthday cupcakes. Of course, they get the first choice, and then we eat and share and just enjoy, and it is a really, really sweet time. So the birthday stories are always very beloved. Of course, you can alter those however you wish, but they're really fun. Use of a birthday ring, and just to really spend the whole day thinking about the birthday child, and really honoring their life and honoring how grateful we are for them in our lives, and that they know that they are so loved. So it is really sweet, and I also really like keeping the sweetness about them and not necessarily about cake and presents, because even the birthday story and blowing out the candles is with the birthday ring, not the cake. The cake comes later. So those little details, I think, make it extra special, and each of them giving their own little colored cards are really, really sweet. So yes, that's how we've done birthdays in our little group, and it has been always very, very sweet. So thank you for that question, because I do think that is a really fun one to elaborate on. So all right, thank you for staying with me, guys. This was fun. Obviously, a lot of fun things coming up. I hope you guys continue to enjoy your season of autumn. I hope you've had a wonderful September. We can't wait for all the fun things coming, more audiobooks, more fun products. Thank you. It's been fun to chat with you and have this touch point. I really do love supporting you all through this to make sure that your experience continues to be wonderful and positive. So thank you for taking all this time out of your day to join me. It really means a lot as well. So thank you all, and we will be back before too long for our November overview, December overview, winter overview. We have a lot of other fun things, so keep an eye out for the events calendar as we plan for those. And otherwise, happy autumn, the autumn equinox today. I hope you all have lovely autumn festivals and turn your stars this week and celebrate the coming of autumn. So thank you all again for spending your morning with me. This has been fun. It's been a lot to cover, but good job hanging out with me, and it has been lovely. So I will see you next time. Bye, friends.